Wake up to your future like you've never seen before.
Welcome to Inspirational Astrology Horoscope for Thursday, April 4th, 2019. I'm astrologer David Palmer, the Leo King, here to illuminate the collective consciousness. Well, because I'm going to the Maldives next month for an awesome retreat, it's going to be June 1st through 9th. The link is down below if you want to join me on that. It's not my retreat, but I am part of it. And there's a lot of people going to the scene, a lot of other awesome astrologers that I'm sure you follow here on YouTube. But I'm doing a reading sale because before I leave, I want to get as many people as I can to help through all this crazy energy of this new portal and all this new energy that's coming. So I have a discount code, stress-free, for a discount on my readings. Go to leoking.com, click on consultations. Don't forget to miss out on highvibetvschool.com. This is an awesome lightworker school that we have created here at High Vibe TV Studios. And this is so important because really when it comes to being a lightworker, all these courses really teach you everything from my full astrology course to my spiritual e-commerce business development, taking anything in the spiritual community, whether it's a psychic or a tarot reader, astrologer, or creating even a spiritual product and taking it, you or that, to market. And more importantly, all the lessons I've learned and the more fast-track versions of how to really make this successful and bridge your spiritual mission to a very hard and harsh world out there called business. Of course, we've got Sarah Posh with her shadow work that really helps you understand how to deal with your own shadow, your own subconscious, and how it could be playing out in negative aspects and how you can turn that around into the positive. And of course, we have Jackson Lannis with his awesome tarot school. Even I'm watching it, and I've been doing tarot my whole life, and he blows my mind. We got an awesome setup for him with multiple 4K cameras showing the different cards. Every card has gone through all different spreads. You're going to want to check it out. Go to highvibetvschool.com. But before we take a look at all the planets, let's take a look at the Leo King's planet energy meter to understand where all the energy is for your Thursday. I'm sending you lots of great energy. I am sending you lots of love and light. I'm with you, awesome, amazing, and spectacular. Wonderful. It is a new moon Thursday. Well, it's technically Friday. I'll tell you about that in a second. I'm putting that energy meter at the extreme position. Beep, beep, boo. Well, we are at the new moon in Aries, and it's building up all day because at 1:30 a.m. on Friday, Pacific, 4:30 a.m. Eastern, we got a new moon in Aries exact. So this whole day is about this full, this full energy of a new moon in Aries. I also want to remind people that I'm doing spiritual dance music tonight at probably about 6 p.m. Pacific on my YouTube. And what's interesting is 2 weeks ago, we had like almost 1,000 people live watching. It was pretty awesome. Definitely don't miss it out. But I want to say that this new moon is a big deal. It's a big deal because, one, it's a Martian energy. This is also, remember, 2 weeks ago, a full moon that happened in Libra on the equinox. That's very important. That's the spiritual, especially the esoteric new year, the pagan new year, especially the astrology new year, and it was a full moon in Libra. This is about rebalancing our life, trying to find the peace and the understanding and the harmony of who we really are and what connections, what relationships connect with who we are. And that's the big question about where we're moving forward with. Now, it's a big question because Mercury has been in a very, very hard 6 months. Yes, 6 months. Not just because of the retrograde over that last 3 weeks that just got out on top of Neptune, by the way, on March 29th, but Neptune has been on Mercury, kind of holding it down and forcing it to go through all the past and all the karmic stories and imagination and dreams. And I talked about in my deep astrology, even weird maybe entities coming in with the semi-square to Uranus of almost making us or tricking us, remember, of maybe trying to fix something we know isn't fixable or just is not part of the path anymore. And I think that it's important for us to really come into the sovereign self, the true identity. That's what this is about with this new moon in Aries. You know who you are. With Mars now in Gemini, we got to look at Mars in Gemini since this is a new moon in Aries. The sun is exalted in Aries. We got Mars in Gemini and it's sextiling over to Chiron in Aries. And you know what this is saying is Mars in Gemini is like ready to go. It's got all these answers. It's been like wanting to give all these facts to poor Mercury that has been on top of Neptune and through a retrograde and has just been gone through so much. Because if we even go 6 months ago, Mercury really did not go through a lot of positive energy. You know, like when it left out of when the sun was in Libra, when we went into Scorpio, Mercury went into some really heavy energy. And then it went retrograde in Sagittarius, the sign at its detriment. And here now it went retrograde weeks ago in the sign of its fall position. So The last 6 months has been extremely confusing, especially after a Venus retrograde and the end of a 2018 that was extreme and gnarly. And honestly, telling us what we do not want to repeat in 2019. And this new moon and this 2-week process is the final curtain call of whether or not you're going to go repeat and go backwards and try and hold on, especially with Uranus and Taurus, semi-square Mercury and Neptune during this new moon in Aries. It's like, are we going to hold on and hoard, or are we going to break free and let go of things that just do not, you know what? It's not that they're not special. It's not that it's not wonderful. It's just not maybe part of what we're here to create in the new self, the true self. And after the last decade, especially with Uranus that was in Aries since 2010, this has been about us really looking at all the facets of who we are. And this new moon is going to be the first time we've had a new moon in Aries without Uranus since it would probably be 2011, but that's a long time, okay? So this is the first time that we have to really put to the true test of all these different ideas and all these different facets of who we are and really own it now. And with Mars sextiling over to Chiron and Aries, Mars in Gemini is trying to say, hey, Chiron, Aries, I understand. You're timid, you're afraid, you don't feel like maybe you can do this, you can really step fully into this, that you have the energy, that you have the power, that you have the will to do this. I know it's easier with Mercury on Neptune to just say, I just want to bail out, or I want to quit, or maybe I should just go backwards. I know how to do that. But Mars in Gemini is saying, look at the facts. Don't go backwards. Look forward and keep moving forward, especially because Mercury finally leaves its conjunction to Neptune today, which I think is very ironic as the new moon comes in. Because if we think about this, now Mercury doesn't have this facade or these dreams or these visions, which can be delusional, which can be beautiful, but also at the same time, can they really function in a reality? Especially as this South Node has been conjunct Pluto for this last week, and that has been very intense while Mercury has been on Neptune. Because if you really think about these outer planets on these very interesting positions, Mercury in its fall position, at a stopped stationary spot, and the South Node meeting with Pluto and Capricorn for the first time in a long time. I mean, really, we'd have to go back to, over 500 years. So I just want to tell you that this is a very rare moment in our lives where, yes, we do want to achieve and we want to reach high, but we got to think of this North Node in Cancer. And I think the South Node is realizing, you know what? No matter how bad you want to try and have something or, truly get it and reach it, if it doesn't make sense, if it's not emotionally fulfilling, why go for it? Why try so hard? This is about learning to release the obsession with things that really don't emotionally fulfill us fully. And this new moon is about embracing the emotions of who you are and the self-care. And the self-care is about who you are, who you really are. And that's what this is about now. And relationships are probably one of the biggest aspects of this whole new moon. Since in 2 weeks, we do have another full moon in Libra coming up. We do have Venus conjuncting Neptune next week. And Jupiter is going to come retrograde in its home sign of Sagittarius, which opens all the doors and tries to understand so many things and is very positive. But Mercury is going to square that position in its fall position next week. At the same token, the Sun will be squaring Saturn next week. And Saturn's in its home sign, and it will be battling out with the Sun exalted in Aries, which means that Saturn's stronger, and Saturn has Pluto, and Saturn has the South Node, which makes things way more intense. It's like, a very intense decision in our lives. But if we pay attention, because remember that this new moon is exactly squaring the spot of the solar eclipse that started January, which means January was this whole realization of the change in the structures in your life that you have to do. Now it's about really embedding it in your identity. It's almost like we've spent, ever since January, kind of like in a weird state of like, yeah, we're going this direction and I'm going to do this, but really, have you fully embedded yourself into it, fully and rocket shipped it? This is the rocket ship. We've got the facts from Mars to back us up in Gemini to Chiron. We've got a lot of positives here. But I think that the negatives is if we go backwards, if we try to fix things that don't make sense, if we are afraid to move forward, if we are afraid to truly embed who we really are and be honest. Because the relationships that we're in, the projects that we're in, or the outer attachments that we have to certain things that really are not emotionally fulfilling us all the way, that we just are trying to either stick to a traditional route, try and do what we think is right because that's what the whole world has done. This is conditioning, subconscious conditioning that we are all breaking free of. And this is what truly embodying into your true self is. And to not be afraid of it either. To not let any outer entities or the dark or anything like that make you scared. Or even try and fool you into thinking that you can't do it. You can. And this new moon is very important for you to set the intention of what you know you truly are as a person, as a soul, and more importantly, to do the facts. Because with Mars here, and this is the important aspect to look at with a new moon in Aries, that it is in sextile to Chiron, that we have to think of the truth. We have to think of who we really are. We need to look at the facts, and we need to go with that, even though we're a little bit nervous, we're a little bit humbled, because we're unsure if we really can do this. We've had so much hardship. We've had so many things that have come from us at left and right, especially with confusion in the 6 months of Mercury and its horrible, aspects, the hard aspects of, the Venus retrograde at the end of 2018, the Mars retrograde from the summer or from June into September of 2018 that was on the South Node. Honestly, this last, 9 months, talk about 9 months and having a baby. It's I'm not a woman. I give so much credit to women out there to go through a pregnancy and have a baby because we have all gone through kind of that process and we are birthing our true self. And we've gone through all the growing pains. We've gone through the kicks. We've gone through the fears. We've gone through all that stuff. And this is us birthing our true self. And not birthing ourselves based off what somebody else is wanting us to be or that we feel that we have some sort of duty to be towards someone else. But connecting with who we really are and birthing our true self. So we don't get trapped in a system. So we don't get trapped in old traditions. So we don't get trapped in our own delusions. But we liberate into a better new world that in many ways is psychically understood, but not physically making sense if it really can. With Mercury and Neptune still in that semi-square to Uranus, and more importantly, Neptune's going to be semi-square Uranus all year, like it was last year. You have to remember that this is going to be a very major part in our lives where our intuition has a difficult time seeing how it's all going to come together. But it's when you have the courage, the strength, and you move into the direction and you create an environment that makes sense to who you are, it will all happen. And this is whether or not you're ready to take those steps. This is also the last week of all the planets direct. Remember that all the planets were direct until Mercury went retrograde on March 6th. Then on the 29th, boom, Mercury came direct and all the planets were direct again. I have never seen that in astrology. I've never seen it with all the planets direct for months either. Have a planet go retrograde, which is Mercury, in this case, which is the fastest retrograde planet, and then when it turns on, all the planets are still direct. Very rare. This is a time to move forward. Because next week with Jupiter retrograde, with Mercury square Jupiter in its fall position, and more importantly with the Sun-Saturn square, the Sun-Pluto square, and the Sun-Node square, that turning point that we're at now, this next 2 weeks is going to be a big turning point of whether we are turning the Titanic the right direction or not. And I don't want to say that you're going to crash, but it's more like really kind of getting into a position of where maybe you're not satisfied or maybe you're truly realizing that you're just replaying an old karmic story and replaying 2018 all over again, which I don't want anybody to do. Spiritual dance music tonight, don't forget that. We do got the 9 of Cups upright. Yes, there's a lot of emotions in life. Good, bad, ugly, amazing, exciting, thrilling, horrific, all these things. But this man sits there and has felt it all and is content. And we have to be content with all the feelings that we've experienced. But we have to even be more content with the new experiences of all the cups that we can fill in our life with all these new experiences. This is about new experiences, new emotions, and new feelings and positive feelings that we can have if we have the courage, if we have the strength to step forward into it. Thanks so much for all your support. I truly appreciate it. I hope to see you tonight for Spiritual Dance Music. Also, hope that you check out my reading cell. I'd love to do a reading with you, and especially the High Vibe TV School. We got so many courses. We just keep putting them out, and you can learn at your own pace. I appreciate all your support. Check out my astrology mag if you want to at Amazon, the 2019 Leo King Astrology Guide. And I just love you all. I'm sending you all my best energy. Can't wait to see you for spiritual dance music, and I will see all of you, if you got the app, tomorrow.
Future life. Wake up to your future like you've never seen before.